delays with the Lithuanian authority and UBIC slowing everything down, the administrators. So obviously what happens this week is it's going to be one of the biggest. There's been other things in the past, it's been bigger, you know. But it would be nice to finally get the club back on an even keel, because I think virtually from the first day I walked in here as well, there was the club looking sort of money-wise when Kenny walked into Westminster, had started there, bid for the club. So it just seems since then that there's always been some kind of problem, there's always been a debt of sorts to be paid, and it's caught us eventually, you know. So I think, you know, it's come to a head. Hopefully Friday will be the start of the road back, the first day of the road back. Still, you know, still a lot of hard work to be done. I think every Hearts fan and every connected with the club is thankful for the amount of work that's been done by various individuals all the way through this. And you know, I think fans just want the club back. That's the main thing. And Friday could go a long way to being the first step of that road.
And you know that the plans and foundations are up in place. They're not about coming massive debts. It's about making it stable.
I think, you know, the foundation have done a lot. It's been frustrating for them as well from the outside looking in. It's been difficult for them because it's the lack of information coming back, lack of progress coming back, but they've just kept chipping away, and you know, you've seen strong individuals come to the fore, like Aaron Bunch, who's come to the fore and put stuff forward to try and get the deal done. Hopefully in time to allow Gary to go and try and get some players in January. But again, if the worst case scenario is that it's going to take longer than that, then that's fine. You know, at the end of the day, it's about the club surviving long term, not just this season. If it was to stay up the season, it would be wonderful. Probably the best football season ever, regardless of the trophies and championships we've won in the past. Staying up this season, given the circumstances, would be.
So you know how well you know the current squad well. How difficult would it be, perhaps impossible, for the current squad with no new players coming in January?
So it's not possible. Yeah. Nothing is impossible, especially in football. We've seen it over the years. You know, you've seen famous. You know, you can go back to Denmark winning the European Championship after sitting on the beaches and stuff like that. You know, you've seen, you know, stories happening. You know, it won't be easy. From day one, it was never going to be easy. I think the embargo's been a tough one. You know, the Rangers they got up a transfer window and then were told they could send us for over a year. That would have been helpful, but we didn't get it. So we've had to deal with it, and I think Gary and Billy have dealt with it really well, and the players have dealt with it, because there's a lot of pressure on these young boys. I don't think people realise the physical pressure that's on them and the mental pressure, because by now a lot have had a rest. You know, they've been left out for 2 or 3 games to recover, not just their fitness and their mental strength, but they recover their form again in under 20s and then come back into first season. They've not been able to do it. And that's been the toughest aspect of it, and it will be, without a doubt, the toughest aspect going on if these young lads are asked to continue. My only worry for them is medically, how they're going to cope with it. I don't think, you know, there are rules there, and none of the staff and none of the fans are going to moan about it, but long term these lads could pick up injuries now because their bodies aren't ready for the regulars day in, day out, week in, week out, the SPFL. It's as simple as that. So it would be nice for the club to get reinforcements in January, but as I've said, they've dealt with everything as it's come so far, and if it means no more in January, it means no more. That's the rules.
You're on the training pitch with these boys, Joe. What's the mood and the spirit like amongst the team?
It's incredible in a sense that you're getting exactly what you see. These young lads have, you know, their tempo to training, their attitude to training, the work rate of training is phenomenal. They just keep going. It's the same on Saturday as well. They just keep going and going and going. You know, because that's what they're used to. They don't know any different. What you'll find is, when it comes to game things, you know, it can be a bit here and scaring at times, because they'll charge forward and leave themselves open at the back and be pinned in at times. Because that's where experience comes. You know how to slow down games. As you get older, you know how to slow the games down. You know how to take the sting out of the games. You know, you heard last week England international team talking about how Chile slowed the match down. We felt to take the sting out of the England attacks when they were under pressure. That's what these young lads are having to learn on the hoof, so to speak. And it's difficult for them to take it in, because they say a lot of them right now should at most really be learning their training under 20 right now. been thrown ahead, and for some of them, it'll stand them in good stead, and some of them will bring the challenge and step forward them very, very well. For others, you just worry that it may affect them, their confidence just go very quickly, and it could affect them long term. So again, that's something that has to be managed away from the football and away from the glare of the publicity that they're getting. But it's not easy because these young lads, whether they like it or not, are having to stand the test and the sort of critical look of the media, the TV, and their own fans at times, because they're out there, and anybody that sees any player in a Hearts jersey knows he's good enough to play the first team. I'm sure at times they are, but they've got to understand at times that these young lads, some of them, is way ahead of schedule, and just hopefully, my only fear is that it doesn't have a detrimental effect for them long term.
Is there a delightful naivety then with Jason there, because we were asking him that very question, that maybe his injury might be a blessing in disguise because it forces him out for a while. But he's saying, no, when you're a young boy, you just want to play every game.
It's strange because as a young lad, your aim is to get in the first team. And you get there to stay there as best you can, but you all know that, most first team players, myself included, I was given a chance at 17, didn't play the first team again for another year before playing the first team. I was given an opportunity because injuries, and then when I did start sort of the second time in 82, I think, started to play more regularly. I was 4 or 5 games in, and then out for 4 or 5 games, and then back in for 2 or 3, and then because I managed to score goals, I was kept in and around for the first team from then on in. But as I say, it's difficult because these lads, what you want to do is feed them in at the right time. And Jason's right, these young lads, for them, there's some lads who are playing and getting first team games that may not, and I'm being brutally honest here, may not have played in the first team had all things been equal. But what a wonderful opportunity they've been given, and they're taking it, they're doing their very, very best, but it's a chicken and egg situation. They desperately need the experience in there to help them get to the next level. And it's not possible. And they desperately need the rest. Well, they're not going to get that. And you just need to look at the makeup of Robbie Nielsen's under 20 team. There's 4 or 5 lads who are 15 year old who are playing, and I've seen them playing at Ross County against guys who are 23, 24, 25 year olds, and that's not going to help them. But that's the knockdown effect of this embargo. You can't force these lads away. You've got 15-year-old kids playing against 25-year-old kids, 25-year-old men, and under 20.
Is there a perceived criticism then of the SFA, John, whose responsibility it is to make sure that we've got a strong youth development and players coming through?
It's not a criticism. Listen, we've said before that if you run into the financial situation that Hearts have run in, you deserve your punishment, and nobody's arguing about the punishment and the way it's come about. But I don't think they look at the embargo deeply enough, because they just look at the first team and think, right, that's what you've got, that's what you get on with, you can't sign any players. But as we said, we've still got to play an under 20 league. Now, you can't, technically speaking, most of these games are playing in the afternoon. What if the school says, no, you're not getting these boys into school? Who do Hearts play in these leagues? Who do you actually you can't physically play these lads. So it's by the good grace of the schools who are saying, yeah, of course, I can go out and get an afternoon off to play, but it's only by the good grace. So if we weren't given that grace, who would actually have to play in these under 20 leagues? Because they physically don't have. I think the squad we've got at the moment is, I think, first team wise, I think it's 17, maybe 18 of which 3 are goalkeepers. So then after that you've got ground staff boys who again were just in the door in the summer, learning their training. A lot they were playing under 20s. Again, for them, for some of them it's good, but for other ones, you take 1 or 2 hidings in that league, it's no long before your confidence goes. So it's the Philip back the way. It's a backlog that happens, because our under 17s are losing their best players, having to bring up the younger lads. And at some stage it's going to affect everybody's progress. So that's why Friday is very, very important going forward, because it will give the club its next focal point as to how it progresses. So you spoke his first team all the way down.
You spoke about the historical nature of the debt and all seeming to kind of different regimes just merge from one another. How important is it then that if and when the foundation will break that cycle, it's not run on the basis of just running on debt?
Well, you can't anymore. I think, you know, one of the, not just football, I think one of the first things that the banking industry perhaps has proved that every business now has to be transparent, and every business has to run itself properly, and Hearts are no different, not getting away from that. And for years it's been like, as I said, when it first came in, okay, the debts have got bigger, but I think when Wallace Mercer and Kerry Walker were part of the club, it was around 200,000 was the debt at the time, and then you had Chris Robinson and handed it over to Nova, I think it was 22 because of the stands and other financial aspects of the budget at the time, and then you look at Vladimir Romanov, he's taken it up a bit, but now at some stage it was always going to catch up. Now, my only disappointment is you hear a statement saying that Vladimir Romanov spent 60 million. It's just a pity it wasn't spent in the right way, if that's the case, because you know, if somebody had come to me and said I'm going to invest 60 million in Hearts over 10 years, how do you do it? Well, it's fine. You pay £5 million a year for the first 5 years and pay off the debt. You spend another £5 million on a brand new main stand. So after 5 years you've got 20,000 All-Sale Stadium and no debt, and then you add another £3 million a year to the current budget. Which gives you the third best budget in the league, and you'll be up there challenging for trophies and Europe and stuff. And in 10 years, if you want to sell the club, you've got a fantastic asset, but unfortunately it appears being played into Labour. So it's just a shame that rather than spend it the way he did, he probably wiser investing it perhaps in that kind of model and having a really sustainable, healthy, long-term football club. But as I say, that's what we look for, any club we look for going forward, is that you have a model in place, not just ran by fans and owned by fans, but I still think you have to have responsible business people, like the investors that we're talking about, being involved at the very top level, but make sure that the foundation have a say long term. That the supporters actually have a say. You've got to have a say, not in perhaps the day-to-day of the club, but certainly should have a say in the club going forward. But I still think that major investors and major business people still have to be at the helm until the club gets enough sound financial freedom.
Thank you.
Thank you.